Welcome to our weekly Mitzvah Shabbos program. This program is the fourth program, continuation of the stories of the Rebbe's Melamed, Maizeder, Rabbi Leivik, and the Rebbe Lil Nishmas, Maizeder, Shnei Zalman, Ben Harav Rabbi Levi Yitzchok. And this is a Hemshech. And today I want to mention about the Rebbe's, Maizeder's last week, Bi'al Modein. V'kitzu v'ranenu, Sheikh Neofor, v'hu b'seicham, b'biyas Mashiach Tzidkenu, b'korev mamish. I mentioned in the first program, that hardly is spoken about the Rebbe's youth. The Frierdiker Rebbe's, we know. Frierdiker Rebbe himself writes, the Rebbe never wrote about his youth, so we only know what Maizeder said, or maybe what he told other people. His cheder years. But a few times by Fabrengen, the Rebbe did mention a word about his Melamed, what his Melamed said. He didn't speak much about the Melamed, but he said a story what the Melamed said. So once he mentioned, I think it was in 1981, he mentioned about the cheder, but when his Melamed said, when he learned about tzaddikim nistorim, about the 36 hidden tzaddikim, and an example of a certain person that the Talmidim knew. So like, he could be an example of a tzaddik nister. Rebbe mentioned. Another thing that Rebbe mentioned, that when they learned Parshas Hazinu, when his Melamed, means Maizeder, when he was 7-8 years old, Parshas Hazinu, he always said this story. And Melamdim used to say this story. So I just want to mention, talking about the Rebbe's Melamed, what story was it? And I'm going to, a very short story, and I think that Rabbi Mindel wrote this in one of the stories. I don't know whether it was in Talks and Tales or not, but he also wrote it down. But the Rebbe said this story was said by his Melamed every year that he learned Parshas Hazinu. Okay. The Rambam had a student, the name Avner. Avner went straight away from the path of Torah. He left his community and became an official, important person in the government. One Yom Kippur, Avner sent guards to drag the Rambam from shul and bring him to the palace. Then in front of the Rambam, his teacher, he slaughtered a pig, he roasted the pig, and he ate the pig on the holiest day, on Yom Kippur, in front of the Rambam. The Rambam couldn't take it. Couldn't hold back his anger. And asked Avner, what caused you to fall so low? Why did you abandon your heritage? So Avner said, your teaching completely disillusioned me. That's what he told the Rambam. What was it? He says, you were once teaching a very small parsha, Parsha Hazinu, and you said that all the details of the Jewish history is in this small parsha. How can everything be in a small parsha? That's one thing. The second thing he said to him, you also said that Parsha Hazinu contains the names of every single Jew. Parsha Azinu. He says that's ridiculous. How could a small parsha like this have the names of millions of people in such a short parsha? That disillusioned, and he went away. So the Rambam answered him, it's absolutely true that in this parsha there's the names of every single person. So Avner said to him, the Rambam, so tell me my name. Where is my name in this parsha? So the Rambam answered, it could be found in Posuk Yazinu, Posuk Chavvav, the third letter of every word, of the word. It says a Posuk, Omarti, it says, Afeyem Ashbiso Me'enish Zichrom. The third word of Afeyem is Aleph, fourth letter, I mean. The third letter of Biso is Beis. The third letter of Me'enosh is Nun. And the fourth letter of Zichrom is Reish, Avner. What does the pasuk mean? I said I would cast them off. I will eliminate their memory from mankind. That's what the Rambam told him. Avner turned pale. Is there any hope for me? He begged. Anything I can do to do tshuva for my sins? Avner told the Rambam. So the Rambam looked at Avner and said, the verse itself has revoked the way. It says, Hashem will scatter sinners until their memory is erased. You must leave never to be heard again. Avner boarded a ship and was never seen again. This is a story the Rebbe said Bafabregit. I think Bafabregit. And he said that my Melamed means my Zayde. Always when he learned Hazinu, he told him this story. So since today we're talking about, did they ever Rebbe mention Melamed? This is one of, maybe another couple of times. I'll look it up in my notes. But I wanted to mention this. Now let's continue, if we have time, about my Zayde, about the last week, Baal Modain. Friday, Yud Zayin Iyar. I came home from Yeshiva. I learned in Bedford Avenue. And I came to my home to my Zayde. My Zayde was sitting on the sofa and learning Mishnais. Like always, Chazar Mishnais, Baal Peh, as I mentioned a few weeks ago. And I saw that his speech is not the same. I asked the Zayde, are you feeling good? He said something I couldn't understand. So I said to him, Zayde, do you want I should help you going to bed? He made like that. I helped him. I took him to his bed to lie down. I think he started to cry then. And while walking, he was still chazering Mishnais Baal Peh. I put him down. I didn't know what to do. There was no Hatzolah those days. This was in Tov Shechov Gimel. So I went to my aunt, Dina. So we went to Dr. Zalixon, Olav Hasholem. Dr. Zalixon lived on Schenectady and Eastern Parkway. And we told him that my Zayde needed. So right away he ran. He came to my Zayde, he looked at him, and he said he had a stroke. He gave him something, a pill. Anyway, he had a stroke. And I think he wrote a note in Merkez to give the Rebbe about his Malamed, what the situation is. I'm just saying Bekitzer now, there's much more, but there's no time. This happened on Friday. After Kabbalah Shabbos, Dr. Zelickson was standing by the door of the Rebbe's Yechidus room. When the Rebbe came after Ma'ariv, after Kabbalah Shabbos, the Rebbe asked him, he wants to know what's with the Zayde. So they spoke for 10 minutes about my Zayde. I don't know what they spoke about. I was standing in the hall, I saw them speaking. Dr. Zelickson didn't want to tell me. And they were talking. Next morning, Shabbos, I think the Rebbe also wanted to know about my Zayda. I don't remember. But what I want to say is, Mitzvah Shabbos, a half an hour or an hour after Ma'ariv, I was standing in the hall near Merkaz's door with some Bachrim. All of a sudden, the Rebbe opens. The Rebbe goes home. The Rebbe went home to make Havdalah, I guess. The Rebbe opens his door, and he goes out. He sees me in the hall. He sees me. He makes like this to me. He calls me. He turns around. I went in the back of the Rebbe to his room. He opens the door again to his room. The room was pretty dark. Apparently, I think, because the Rebbe didn't make Havdalah, so he didn't want to put on his regular light. Shabbos, he had a bulb, only a bulb in his room. The regular light, the big light it was closed. So, but it was after Ma'ariv. But since the Rebbe, I guess, didn't make Havdalah, so the bulb was on. So it was pretty dark. So he didn't want to put it on. And by the way, those days the Rebbe walked home. He didn't go by car. So anyway, so I walked in the room. I closed the door. And I was in the room with the Rebbe. I was shaking with the Rebbe in a room, in a pretty dark room. The Rebbe opened his drawer, and there was paper, there was matzah. He took out one matzah, put it back, took out another matzah, a half a matzah, he cut the matzah, put it back. Maybe a minute or two. I don't know what he did exactly. I was standing a little bit further. He was bending in his drawer doing the matzahs. Then he took out a matzah. He gives it to me. He says, give it to your grandfather, Zan Zayden, as al hob ma gute Woche. When I say you matzah is mechle the asfoso, you know that Pesach, the first Seder matzah is mechle dim nemnuso, food of healing. The second night is the food of refuah. The first night is food of amunah, faith. The second night is refuah. They say mechle dim nemnuso, the asfoso. So give the Zayden, and again, as al hob ma gute Woche, he stressed al ma gute Woche. And I didn't like that. Okay, Mitzvah Shabbos, you see a gute Woche, but why stress twice? I don't know. Anyways, so the Rebbe went first. I went up there. I shut the door. The Rebbe walked home. I ran across the street to my Zayde. My Zayde was already in a shtickle coma. And I said, "Yechob a matzah for Rebbe, I have a matzah." He shook. Imagine, it was the Rebbe's Melamed, and the Rebbe. I said the word Rebbe, and he was in a coma, not 100%, but he was. And he shook. I said, the Rebbe said, I should give you the matzah, you should eat it. I took a piece of matzah. The Rebbe said, oh, I forgot to tell you. The Rebbe said, take the matzah, put it in his mouth, and if it doesn't go in, you should soak it in water. I forgot to tell you that. So I took a piece of matzah, I put it in, didn't go. Another piece, it didn't go. So I took a matzah and I put it in water, and I did manage to put a few matzahs in his mouth, but not much, but I did. Anyways, Next day was like Beimer. Sunday was a parade. The whole arichas. The Rebbe wanted to know also, but I have no time. He turned, my Zayda turned, the condition was worse, so we took him to Jewish hospital. It was the hospital, that's the hospital, same hospital as Rebbe's Rechane was when she passed away in that hospital. And the Rebbe said that I want him to have a nurse there in the hospital 24 hours a day, and I want to pay for it. I want to pay also for other things, whatever. Anyways, it was in the hospital, every day got worse. Exactly a week, Thursday night, means Friday, my Zayda passed away. My Zayda passed away, called Rabbi Ushpol, Cheve Kadisha, and Rabbi Ushpol made the Tara, as I mentioned, and he said he never saw a face like that, a face, or Geleicht, a lichtek upon him, he said, my Zayda, she had a lichtek upon him. And as I mentioned a few weeks ago, that my Zayda is Chazed Mishnayis Ba'peh, and he said that from the Tara until the Kvura takes time. What does a person do? A Chazed Mishnayis Ba'peh. This is what we used to say. Anyways, so Friday was the Levaya. The Rebbe went to the Levaya. The Rebbe went with a car with, I think it was Rabbi Shmuel, maybe Rabbi Jacobson also. Olav Shalom. And the Kvura, the Rebbe did not go in all the way because later Rabbi Shmuel asked him, why didn't you go in? Because the Rebbe says, I didn't have preparation. I didn't have achonis. The Rebbe, in order to go there, he has to go to the Frierdiker Rebbe. And he needs a special achonis. And he didn't have achonis today, so he was standing by the gate, or the outside gate, watching the whole time till the end of the Kvura. He was watching the way they made the Kvura. So this is the story. I mean, there's much more to it, but I want to shorten. Now, I want to say one more thing. This happened in Chav Gimel. My Zayda had a wife. Her name was Zelda. She was not my mother's mother. My mother was born, my Zayda, first wife, Rivke. Zelda, he didn't have children from Zelda. Zelda passed away, Teves Tovshin Chav Hei, year and a half after my Zayda. Now, those days, we were Bachim, there was an hour or two Yechidas of Bachim that had Yechidas, that had Yom Haledes. So anybody that had Yom Haledes in Teves and Shvat went in that evening. Even though he had Yom Haledes in Shvat, he still went in Teves. I think it was Chav of Teves, I'm not sure. So my Yom Haledes is also, my birthday is also in Shvat. So I went in that night. That day, Zelda passed away, the wife of my Zayda. So, and I happened to go into Yechidus then. The Kvura was already. So I went into Yechidus. So the first thing I went in, the Rebbe asked me, where was she buried? Was she buried across my Zayda or not? She wasn't by the women. So I said, I don't know. So the Rebbe says, after you go out of the room, go to Merkez, that's Chavre Kadisha. Right away, I need to know where she was buried. Was she buried across my Zayda or not? Apparently, it's important to be across or near your wife. I'm not sure. But that's what the Rebbe wanted to know. Then the Rebbe said we should make a minyan in the house. They had no children. But the Rebbe opened up his drawer and wanted to give me a Ner Tomid, a candle. A Ner Tomid for her. And he was looking and looking and looking. He couldn't find. So he says, when I go to Yechidus, I should go to Merkez, tell Merkez that I said that he should give you a Ner Tomid and use that Ner Tomid in the house of my Zayder, of Zelda. This is, but the Rebbe wanted to know. Anyways, one more thing I want to say, and I'm going to finish. My uncle, Fatih Yosef, my Zayder's son, came in Tovshin Lamed in America. He came in Tovshin Lamed. I picked him up at the airport with his family. And the first thing he said, he wants to see the Rebbe. So I was, anyway, the kids of Ma'ariv, the Rebbe was going out to Ma'ariv, so I took him in the hall to stand to wait for the Rebbe to go into Ma'ariv. All of a sudden, while he was standing to wait for the Rebbe, he made like this. His hand was shaking and like, I said, Fateh Yosef, what happened? He says, I don't have a beard. How can I show my face in front of the Rebbe without a beard? He couldn't show. Now he couldn't have a beard. If he would have had a beard, he wouldn't have come out from Russia in those days. It was a sakona in Russia to have a beard. That's why. Of course, he grew a beard right away. But the Pnimi is he couldn't see the Rebbe without a beard. Anyway, going back to what my Zayder, that Shabbos the Rebbe mentioned that whoever passes away on Friday is a big something. He goes right straight to Gan Eden. I mean, the Rebbe spoke about my Zayder. Then I think the Rebbe invited my uncle for the first to go to him to Seder. I'm not sure. Anyways, so since it's now before Shavuos, instead of Shavuos, so the Rebbe always used to send a telegram. Same thing, the Frierdiker Rebbe should be Kabbalas HaTeire, Besimcha, Bepnimiyus, and we should always hear good psuras. And don't forget, one of the Rebbe's sinyonim is that every child should go and listen on Shavuos to the way they read the Aseres HaDibris. We should have a Freilich Yontev Psuras Tevis, the Mitcham next week. We'll continue our weekly program. Thank you.